Hey guys, my name is Kelly Priest, and you are in a session about Moore County's favorite tools. So originally when I thought about doing this presentation, I was thinking about doing just our favorite tools in general, but there are so many that I wanted to narrow it down to our favorite tools that we use for engineering and design. And for that reflection piece that's so important. Oftentimes when we are doing an engineering and design lesson within our classrooms, we forget the reflection piece or kind of skim over it because we've run out of time, or the project took longer than we needed to. But really, it's the reflection piece that helps our students grow and start to really think like engineers. So again, welcome to our Building Engineering Conference in K-12 classrooms. This is not at all the platform that we had planned to have our conference. We thought for sure we would be seeing your faces in person, and we're so sad that we didn't get to. Bear with me though as we do this virtual session. First off, I hate recording myself, and so much can go wrong. I've tried to open up all my tabs. I'm not going to present full screen right now because I'm going to be toggling back and forth between different websites. So I want to make sure I have as little hiccup as possible in that. But if I mess up or fall on my face, just bear with me because this is not my forte. For all of you that have been doing this for virtual learning during this pandemic time, hats off to you because this is not my comfort area. A little bit about me. My name is Kelly Rawlston. I am a digital integration facilitator for Moore County Schools. I have been in Moore County Schools for 9 years, but 7 of those years have been as a diff, worst name ever. I serve 2 schools right now, Southern Middle and West Pine Elementary. So a lot of my experience comes from that K-8 background. Not saying none of this would apply to high school, but that's kind of where I am. I am a 2-time graduate from East Carolina University. I have a bachelor's in elementary education. I taught 2nd, 4th, and 5th grades. I had 8 years of classroom experience before I became a diff. And then I have my master's in instructional technology, and I got that 2 years ago from ECU as well. My email address is down here at the bottom, kralston@ncncs.org. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. A lot of the tools I'm going to be covering, you've probably heard of, or you've probably even used, but I'm just going to highlight ways that we use them in the engineering and design process. I'm going to turn my camera off for right now because I'm a little weirded out by it being down there at the bottom, but I just wanted to say hey before I got started. All right, so this is our engineering and design process. This is any time that we go into classrooms and we do an engineering project, we start with this visual. So the first thing we have students do is ask, what's the problem, and define your constraints. Like what materials do you have? How are you going to solve your problem? So on and so forth. So then they brainstorm, they choose a solution, they start to think about ways they can solve this problem, and then they start to plan it. A lot of kids want to skip that brainstorm piece, but just make sure you always include it. Then they make a plan, they can draw it, gather materials, so on and so forth, and then they create it, they build it, and then they improve, make it better. And you can see this visual is cyclical. So even if you think about your software engineers, Facebook, Google. They're always looking to make improvements to the user experience. They're not just like, oh, we have a good product, your iPhone. There's a new one that comes out every year. How are they making it better? Use those examples when you're talking to students too, because that's stuff that they can relate to. Also, engineering is not just for, or these terms, this process is not unique to science or math. ELA, if you think about what you're asking your students to do, you ask them to write a paper. First, they have to ask, what is my teacher asking me? Well, how long does it need to be? What do I need to address in my story? Then they brainstorm. They start to think about, they plan out all your little bubble maps and all that. Then they make a plan, AKA a rough draft. Then they create it. They write their first draft. Then they have to revise it and edit and make improvements. So it's a conversation you can have in all subject areas. So 5 things I'm going to cover today in regards to the engineering and design process and how they can be easily utilized are Padlet. You give your students voice to share out their creations. Flipgrid, students can share out their ideas and react to each other's work. Seesaw, you can use a camera, microphone, or whiteboard for students to document their engineering and design process. Jamboard has a new friend to our toolkit. It's an interactive whiteboard that allows students to plan together collaboratively. And then your Google Docs, slides, and Draw. Use the tools in the Google Education Suite to collaborate and share. So first up, we have Padlet. It's an oldie but goodie. Padlet is a bulletin board style website that allows you to have a landing page for multiple concepts. You can keep it private as well, which protects your students, so you can password protect it. Students can take pictures of their planning, ask, imagine, plan. Students can take pictures of their airplanes. So that is really in there for me as a talking point. So one of the examples we like to, when we're first teaching the engineering and design process, is we like to go into classrooms and we just give students a piece of paper and we're like, build an airplane. And then we talk about, okay, what are your constraints? You have paper, you have, X amount of time. Imagine what your airplane would look like, start to plan it out. And then you build it. And then that's where I said students can take pictures of their airplanes, so their creations. And then they try it, they test it out, then they make improvements. They can take pictures there too. And they can also record videos or type explanations, etc., on how they got to their final product. So here is one that I made to kind of highlight the engineering and design process. You can scan that QR code from your phone or tablet, or you can go to that website that's listed there. So using Padlet with your engineering lessons, how would you utilize this tool? Then I have the next column says ask, what is the problem? What are the constraints? Brainstorm, what are some possible solutions? Plan, insert a picture of your plan. And then the last column says create, build, show us your first attempt, and then improve, show us how you made it better. So I put in each of these columns the steps of the engineering and design process for students to reflect on. So when you go into Padlet, there's all these templates that you can use for your boards. You can just do a wall, scatter group, stream, grid, shelf, back channel, map, or timeline. For this purpose, I use the shelf so that for every question, it has its own column, and it'll just continue to build down the column. One of the nice things about Padlet is that you can customize your board. You can click this first toggle switch to display the author's name above each post, which is beneficial if your students are in the habit of not putting their name down. Comments, if you do or do not want them to comment on each other's, I would caution you though, unless you've really trained your students in digital citizenship and cyberbullying and stuff, is sometimes it becomes a popularity contest, and somebody's feelings always inevitably get hurt. Also down at the bottom, you'll see require approval. So you require a moderator to approve. You would be the moderator, of course. And then filter profanity. Always a good toggle, especially when you're working with older students. So let's try it. Using Padlet with your engineering lessons, how would you utilize this tool? This is the only question I'm going to ask you to answer. But if you go over, I'm going to click over to my Padlet wall here, and you can see I've got it all filled out. Now with Padlet, you get 3 Padlets for free. And then if you want more, you have to pay for them. But what a lot of my teachers do is they'll create a Padlet, and then almost like a whiteboard, they'll clear it off, and then they'll just reuse the same board with different questions or for a different activity. So it depends on if you want to save those Padlets or not. That's completely up to you. So using Padlet with your engineering lessons, how would you utilize this tool? So if I click on this plus sign here, you can see my name's already at the top. My response. And then you can put here, I would use this tool to have students reflect on the various steps in the engineering process. Spelling does not count. So then whoever comes up next, their post would fall in line either before or after mine, depending on how I set that up in my settings. Again, a beneficial place just to like spot check your kids and see, do they understand that process. The next tool I'm going to cover is Flipgrid. So it's a free, accessible video sharing discussion platform. It's a social learning platform. So students love some Flipgrid. They love to be able to see each other's posts and respond to each other's posts, and or just, they feel like they're posting to YouTube. So I've used this as young as 1st grade, and they love it. Students respond to one another, creating a web of discussions. So this is the landing page. When you go to Flipgrid, you would go as an educator to educator login. If you haven't signed up before, make sure you hit educator sign up and sign up there. So you can access this site via an app on your iPad, tablet, and via the web on Chromebooks, your PCs, MacBooks, whatever you're using. So we're going to try this. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash, because this is the 2nd time I've tried to record this and it crashed last time I did it. So I'm hoping it doesn't crash while I show you how to do this. So to record a response, you would just click here, join with Google. It says use my camera and use my microphone. I'm going to allow it. And then I'm going to hit record. So here, the question on the board was, tell us about yourself, where you teach, and how you would use this for the engineering and design process. So my name is Kelly Rawlston. I am a diff for Moore County Schools, and I would use this actually for students to reflect on their failures. It's important that we teach students it's okay to fail. And then that's how they learn, that's how they grow. If you're not failing, you're not going to grow. So I would ask them, what went wrong in your design and how could you make it better? And then especially if they don't have time to do the rebuild, tell me how you're going to make this better. And then they can reflect on that piece. And then when they see that other people failed too, they have they don't feel so bad about it. So then you click next. It's going to play it back, and I don't want it to. It took my picture, woof, and then submit. Now I'm going to say complete, and then you see my little video right down there. Just now. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And kids really, they like that interactive piece. The next tool is Seesaw. A lot of people think that Seesaw is very juvenile or very baby, but it's not. Some of the schools in our district use it all the way up through 8th grade. So it's student-driven digital portfolios, and it has simple parent communications. It can be used with iOS, Android, Kindle Fire, Chromebook, computers with Chrome or Firefox browsers. So it's a very versatile tool. When you log in, this is what you'll see. I'm a teacher, I'm a student, or I'm a family member. And then when students go in, this is what these are the type of submissions they can have. They can do a photo, a drawing, a video. They can upload documents. They can do a note where they just type something out, or a link. Link is very helpful. Anything that you do or create that generates a shareable URL link, you can just upload it there, and then it will save to their digital portfolio. But what we like about this for the engineering and design process, it has annotation tools, so students can add additional layers of reflection. So this is a math sheet that we threw in here for an example, but in my thinking, okay, a student draws a plan, and then the plan does well or doesn't do well when they made it the first time. So they can take a picture of their plan and then use voice or the drawing or the text box to kind of tell you why it went wrong or what improvements they need to make. So again, it's a very great reflective piece. And then they have that kind of as almost like a video journal that they can go back and watch or look through and be like, oh yeah, I remember doing that project. So the type of files they can upload, if it's a PDF file, they can do a Google Doc, Google Slide. It can be single page, multiple page. The only option in Seesaw is to add a caption with that one. JPEG and PNG files, Google Drawings, screenshots, images, a single page item, and then in Seesaw you can add audio, captions, drawings, and labels. So a very handy tool for reflecting on that process. Kind of a new friend to the game is Jamboard. It's an interactive whiteboard within Google Suite, and my teachers are loving it because they can actually do a Jamboard while on a Google Meet with students. So it's very beneficial. So I am going to, first of all, I'll show you this next slide. So here I made a Factor Ninja Jamboard, and then I had another teacher jump on for collaboration. You can click here for a step-by-step, but I'm going to show you real quick how to make a Jamboard. So in here, I uploaded a picture I made in Google Draw and then had students, AKA myself and one of my colleagues, type our answers and or draw our answers in this Jamboard. So again, it can be shared with students. So so here is my example of my Factor Ninja. I made him in Google Draw, but over here, since Google Draw is actually my next tool after this, I'm just going to make one real quick. So I'm going to use a shape as my background. I'm just going to do a big old square here. And I'm going to fill it in. I'm not going to make this super pretty because I don't want to take up all your time here. So then I'm going to insert a table. And I'm going to say ask, imagine, create, plan, create, improve. And didn't catch that one, I guess. So I'm just resizing it. Right. And I'm going to move this up to the top. Kind of like this. Make it big. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it border color and then make my borders thick, kind of to space it out. I can add an image from the web. It searches Google right here in it for you. Thinking. Uh-oh. Let's try one more time. Insert. So it made him real big. And I'm just going to put him down here in the bottom. Kind of make it. And then to use this in your Jamboard, you're going to want to download it. And then I'm going to come over here to Jamboard. I have an untitled jam. I'm going to add an image. It says I can drag my image right there, so I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to resize it, and then I'm going to make it bigger. Oh, that twisted it. Sorry. And then here I can share it with whoever I want to share it with. But if I share it with Sarah right now, she will jump on. And now she and I can collaborate here. So I can ask a question. Here I can add a text box. And she and I can work on this together. Text box. And then we can say, what is the problem? We say we need a paper airplane. For my Imagine or Plan, I have a touch screen, so I'm going to cheat just a little bit. I can hit the drawing feature, and then I can draw, paper airplane, maybe. And then you get the point. We can collaborate back and forth, which is cool because I created this template in drawing and then uploaded it here, and we can annotate on top of it, but do it collaboratively, which makes this a really great tool for the engineering and design process. Go back here. If you want step-by-step, like where to click and all that for that, you can see that right here in the presentation. So again, some of the other tools that we really like are all the Google tools in the Google Suite. Google Docs, you can use this and assign students to work with partners on things from fill in the blank templates to a brainstorming space. We've done projects where the high school collaborated with the elementary school, and we were talking about the high schoolers were talking about biomes and habitats and stuff like that, and our elementary students were talking about animal adaptations. So the high schoolers created a food web and a fictitious habitat for animals. And then our elementary students, our fourth graders, they created a fictitious animal that would live in that habitat and had to have adaptations that would fit into that habitat and be able to survive. And then we 3D printed the animals. It was a multi-layer activity, but students 100% use Google Docs to talk back and forth between the two campuses because they never met face to face, which was really neat. The elementary students would would list some questions, and then the high schoolers would get on at a certain time of day and be like, clarifying questions and answers. I've seen Google Slides used for interactive notebooks to document their progress through the engineering process. Also, like an engineering notebook where you can keep slides for each project that you did, so they can kind of look back throughout the year and be like, oh, this was really neat. I really enjoyed this project, or, and to think about what they've learned from it. Because that's the most important. What did you learn from this project? And again, Google Draw, I kind of showed you how to use it. I liken it to Glogster back in the day, where you can make interactive posters and have all your layers and your dimensions. And kids could do that too with Google Draw, and then save it and upload it to whatever platform that you need. So those are some tools that we love. Like I said, some, not all, for the engineering and design process and using them with students. So here is where I say thanks for attending my session. I hope I didn't bore you too bad. But here are the slides that you can, where you can get to them. And then you click here to apply for your CEUs. Just make sure you do that by November 30th so that you get credit. I hope you had a great day. I hope you learned lots. We've got a lot of great presenters and a lot of great presentations on the docket. So I hope you learned something that you can take back and use with your classroom. And I hope that you learned something from me on ways you can help students reflect on their engineering process.